Welcome to the upstreamlife.com. I'm your founder and editor, Vishal Krishna. Today, I have with me Tredence, a global data solutions company. They talk about Beyond Possible. Let's find out what it is all about from Shashank, Dubey and Shub Bhowmick. How are you?
Great.
What are we going to discuss? I don't know what Beyond Possible is. I'm the only one in the room who doesn't know. I'll ask you guys, what is Beyond Possible?
Beyond Possible is about doing something that you believe you can do, but the world is not sure. It's about proving the world wrong and doing something that you feel very strongly about. That's what Beyond Possible is all about.
Amazing. What is last mile?
So last mile is moving from insight to action. Nobody makes money from insights, apart from consultants, of course, right? Our clients make money from converting those insights into action and moving the business needle. So insight to action is basically the last mile.
Okay, you're married to each other for 9 years, right?
Yeah.
They're married, really, I'm not joking. So, being co-founders, it's a long journey. Do your wives complain?
Yeah.
So, so first of all, actually, it's three of us who are married to each other.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sumit is not here with us, but but this morning when we were doing the puja, when we are holding garlands, it was a little odd.
How is it like being married for so long, though?
Go ahead.
You know, one thing is you can't divorce each other for sure.
Yeah, that's for sure. See, I think the thing is that you jump in, into this relationship, and you of course don't know what you're getting into, right? But then I think what binds us is a common vision of future, right? And that doesn't involve kids, that involves a company, right? And that is what has kept us together. And I think over the course of time, we have both changed each other. All three of us have evolved because we interacted with each other, right? And we become better people, because we are together.
Okay.
One more similarity between a marriage and being co-founders is we fight quite a bit.
You fight quite a lot?
Yeah.
Agree to disagree, though, right?
Agree to disagree in the end.
Lovely. So, you started off as a scientist. How was it like being a scientist there, and why make a shift to becoming an entrepreneur? You're going to build missiles for all you know.
Yeah, good that you think like that. I like that. But see, the life over there was actually very comfortable. I remember 6 a.m. in the morning, an orderly will come, knock at the door, give me a nice hot cup of coffee, polish my shoes, get me ready and all that, and then I'll go to an officer's mess, right, where you will have all the butlers all dressed to serve you and all that, right, and then you spend the whole day with 3 breaks in between, with the morning coffee and evening coffee and all of that. And in the evening, of course, you have fun with the army officers and navy officers and all that, right? That was a great life. I miss saying there was some science work also there, right? So that was the thing. It actually became a lot of fun, and I kind of started feeling that I retired even before I started. So, and then of course, I also figured that I was not a good scientist, and so I thought that, okay, you know what, let me move on and see what I'm really good at.
And that's when you met him, but before that, you were a production manager at a FMCG company.
Yeah, that's
right. Worked day and night at the factory?
Worked day and night in the factory, not the same day, different days and different nights, because I was a shift manager. It was an interesting start to my career. I was 22 years old, and I was leading some 200 people in the shift, but none of them really cared about my existence in that factory.
Wow.
Then moved to tech. So my transition from production to AI didn't just happen in one shot. I moved to tech to data analytics, and eventually we started this company.
Okay. What is Tredence?
Tredence actually is not in the dictionary yet. Someday it'll be. It's a made-up word.
Okay.
But it stands for, so when we were starting out, we were looking for a word that represents what we were looking to create, right? A company, credence, right? Credence, because we are in the business of selling and delivering credibility goods, right? So that's where credence came. Now, credence was a word that was not available for us in terms of a domain name, so we replaced the C with the T. So that's the origin of that name.
Now I'll tell you what credence will mean.
Okay, please go ahead.
So Beyond Possible is a noun, right?
Yes.
Tredence is a verb which means the same thing. So when you are Tredence, you are going beyond possible.
Amazing. the 9-year journey. I remember when I was editor of the previous organization, struggles when you start up are, are enormous. Getting your first paycheck. I've read somewhere that to get your first paycheck of $250,000 was a struggle. It took you more than 50, 60 meetings. And the network that you were in also did not support you at the time. How hard was that journey?
Go ahead.
Well, it was inhuman hard. Let me start with that. So it was a mix of that. It was a mix of a lot of luck as well. We were actually almost at the end of our running strip. If that had not come, the plane would not have taken off. So it was a very touch and go. I think among three of us, the person who believed most that we will get that check was Sumit, who is not here, and he actually worked incredibly hard, right, in closing the deal, and I think for a variety of reasons we would not be here, if Sumit had not done what he did 9 years back.
But I like what you said in one of the interviews in the US. You had said that no matter what, you wouldn't have shut shop. You would have continued nevertheless, right? That shows value in you guys. That shows the respect that you have for people around you, that you built this together. Those values, were they built from home? Did you get it from your parents? Where did that come from, if you can answer, Shub?
See, perseverance and not giving up, my tenacity at least, it came from my mother.
Okay.
She is an extremely tenacious woman, and obviously she is a big part of what I eventually became. So, having said that, I think obviously tenacity was a big part, but when we started in 2013, folks, emotions aside, what we kind of planned to do was to create an analytics company, but which also had a strong foundation in engineering, right? Imagine 2013, right? This is when all the analytics companies were booming, purely playing the business analytics game, right? We came into that picture and said, okay, let's do analytics, but let's also do it in a way which can scale and which can sustain itself using technology, using engineering, right? So that was a big part of our differentiation. That was a big part of our vision. And I think that vision has played out really well. Yeah.
What about you, Shashank? What makes you tenacious in this journey of being an entrepreneur?
Yeah, I think, see, when we started, I think somewhere deep down, the fear of failure was not there. We were very clear that our self-worth is not going to be determined by whether we succeed or fail. And see, there were three tenets on which we three started building the company, very coincidental. The three tenets were fun, money, and meaning. And I think if you chase meaning, then that itself becomes a reason to tire of why you do things, right? Outcomes are incidental. They sometimes happen, they sometimes don't happen. But if you are in the pursuit of the meaning, then you just continue.
I like the fact that you've always maintained in many of your interviews that you need to have curiosity, you need to have the ability to take risks, even if your employee is in the company. What do you mean by that?
So I think, see, we are all born with a life jacket, okay? And we are thrown in the ocean, and this life jacket is all the love and protection that we got from our parents, right? Yeah. The problem with that life jacket is that if you're thrown in an ocean with a life jacket, all you can do is just float, right? But there's a lot of beauty in the ocean. You can deep dive and you can explore the depths and all that. But in order to do that, you have to let the jacket go, right? So the choice between floating and letting the waves decide your journey, which is life, or letting the life jacket go and explore the beauty of what's there beneath the waves, right? And I think if you understand that, right, taking risk actually becomes a part of life.
You guys were in a very big analytics company at the time. To move away from that life jacket and say that we're going to be different in the analytics industry, I want you to talk about that difference. Why are we different? Yeah. What did we do in 2013 is different in 2022? How have we grown with that journey? That's something both of you should bring about.
Yeah, I think I just talked about it briefly, but I remember we whiteboarded the picture back in 2013, where we said analytics as an industry, it cannot sustain itself, it cannot scale itself by just throwing bodies into that problem, right? We need to leverage relevant technologies. We need to create industry solutions that can solve problems, because at some point our clients will figure out how to hire people internally. So the only way to create a company that can differentiate itself and create a sustainable business model that hopefully will last tens of years will be on the foundation, which is about bringing that expertise, bringing that solutions, those solutions, ability to solve problems much faster than anybody else in the world, right? So that is the vision, that is very much core to our vision and the foundation based on which we are differentiating ourselves successfully.
Okay. Interesting aspects of technology now. We called it big data back then. Most of the media called it big data, and suddenly it became AI, right? But the core theme was companies were transforming themselves. In what stage of that journey are we today? I mean, if you look at Indian companies, there's a world of opportunity, but yet to get there. If you go to the US, especially Silicon Valley, where you guys say it's table stakes today. So what does digital transformation mean in reality?
Yeah, so see, sorry.
No, good.
Go for it.
Yeah. See, digital transformation basically means removing all the bottlenecks that you have, right, which are driven by human judgments, right, driven by inadequate and ineffective processes, right, and really moving, at the speed at which our world is changing, right, and our world is changing actually really, really fast, right, and AI is a very critical and crucial piece of digital transformation, because data alone means nothing, insight means something but not too much, but when you start integrating those insights into day-to-day decision making, that is when digital transformation happens, right? And the biggest bottleneck there is the complexity of math. You don't want the warehouse manager or the sales manager to basically read stats 101. You don't want that, right? You want them to have the same simplicity as you have of your smartphone, right? It is just that, right, with that simplicity, the power of AI will be there with the sales manager, and they'll be able to take a decision which is far more superior and far more smarter and far more future looking, right, than what they do today. If you're able to do that, that is the journey of digital transformation.
Let's pick a few case studies. This is for my audience watching online, right? Some of the transformative industries would be automotive, healthcare. How are they using digital transformation today? Like you said, we don't want to have multiple tools, multiple data sets everywhere. It confuses everyone. It's not a 101 program, right? And they have to train for it separately. Where can Tredence help?
Yeah, I can give you one example, yes. Right? It's a real use case, but not taking the client name. It's a CPG client. This is in Portugal. So they have so they have the sales reps. Sales reps basically go out on the beat. A beat is basically the daily trips that they make to the stores to take orders, right? That's what they do. They go and take orders, and then the truck comes next day and fulfill all of those orders, right? That's how their business works over there. The problem was that every day the sales rep will wake up, they will have the same list of stores, right? The same list of stores every single day, right? And then they will go on the same list, and then they will have their judgment, oh, you know what, I don't like this store person, right? And maybe today I want to go to this area and all of those things, right? What we did is, we used AI and data science to make that list of stores smarter and dynamic. So every day, the sales rep will have a new list of stores. They will also know what is the right timing to visit those stores, right? For example, you don't visit stores between 12 and 2, right? Why? Because the stores are busy and people are coming in as restaurants, right? People are coming in for lunch, right? The restaurant owner doesn't want to get disrupted on a sales pitch, right? So we did all of those things, and we integrated that into their systems. And funny enough, they actually had a video, right, where they appreciated and how this technology has actually made their life simpler, right? Now they don't have to be on the road 12 hours in a day, right? They are on the road 8 hours a day, and in those 8 hours, right, they achieve far more than what they used to achieve earlier in 12 hours, right? This is an example of digital transformation, last mile, and insight to action journey.
And this is important, right? It's human cognizance plus machine cognizance brings magic, right?
Yeah.
So you cannot leave it to the whims and fancies of sales guys saying, I don't like that store. That is real today. And it's a global phenomenon? It's here to stay?
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely, yes.
I want to ask about, you've opened such a beautiful office, right? COVID has happened. We've all had change in habits. We've been sitting at home, enjoying our life, and working very hard. There's very little difference between personal life and work life. We are coming back now. And what's your opinion on this new world that we have to see, that we have to get used to COVID and come here? Now, I think COVID's done. I personally think so, but anyone in the room can actually disagree with me. But I want to come back to work, honestly. Yeah. How's the new world going to behave like?
I think COVID has changed certain behaviors, and some of those changes are permanent changes.
Okay.
The 5 days a week in the office, I think most people have realized that, if you have to beat the traffic and if you have to be in the office 5 or 6 days a week, it's not worth it, right? But having said that, there is also tremendous amount of value in being with your colleagues, obviously being more productive at work, because it does happen that way, guys. I know some of you have not experienced it, but when you're sitting next to each other, you are actually going to be more productive, right? You're going to solve problems faster. The model of apprenticeship will work more beautifully. But more importantly, you guys will make friends, right? Guys and gals, you will make friends. You will make friends forever, right? A couple of days back, I had lunch with my colleague I met in Britannia in 1996, right? We are not with Britannia anymore, but he is still a very good friend, right? And by not being together in the office, at least a few days a week, you are losing out on that opportunity. So I think it will be a hybrid model. It will not be, being in the office all the time, but maybe 40 to 50% of the team, I expect people to
and also,
be
see,
together.
You hear the murmur in this room, right?
Yeah, I do.
This is the murmur of an expression of why people want to be together.
Yeah.
You can't murmur on Zoom and Teams.
I think that's what teams are made of. And the beer companies in Bangalore would be happy. The pubs would be happy, of course. That's another thing.
And water cooler gossip, right? That's fun
absolutely.
too. Yeah.
Absolutely. That's fun too. I want to ask you, we've talked about the struggles briefly, the first paycheck and everything. I want to bring in funding here because it's very important. You have raised money.
Yeah.
The difficult journey of managing different stakeholders. We talked about employees who are your family, but there's also investors and others. Mm-hmm. Let's talk about that experience. The first fundraising paycheck from an investor, or not, let's not paycheck, the fund check, right? How was that experience like? Is there more on the cards for you? If I can ask, no reveals, but you can talk about it, saying that, hazy stuff, but still, because I want to celebrate fundraise. India is changing. You've got 3 centers in India today. The talent is phenomenal. So the fundraise has some reason to celebrate. So I wanted to talk about the early days to now in terms of fundraising.
Okay. So we did our first round of fundraise in 2020, which hopefully most of you know. And it gave us the boost to do things which is actually going to become the foundation for growth, right? In fact, a lot of changes that you have seen that we made last year were enabled because of the funding that we raised from Chicago Pacific founders, our private equity partners, right? Going forward, we would love to kind of sustain that growth of change. In fact, if we would like to accelerate that even further. And in order to do that, we are looking to do another round of fundraise before the end of this year. But again, we'll have to see how things evolve with everything happening around the world right now. Some of the funding markets are softening. So we'll have to play it by the year.
Okay.
And see how it goes.
But I'll tell you, ladies and gentlemen, if you're listening in, right, on the podcast itself, 7 years without raising money is phenomenal, right? I mean, that is true, right? And guys, give them a round of applause. In a world where we, as editors, wake up and say, we need this as a unicorn, people who generate cash are more important than spending it, right? Yeah. Those 7 years are phenomenal. Who mentored you or who helped you in this journey of 7 years? Do you have external mentors, or it's the 3 of you who sit together, brainstorm all the time? Of course, there's people to help you, employees here who give you that boost also. How did you manage those 7 years?
See, I think this is a this is a matter of mindset as well. We have had a lot of mentors and coaches and
Yeah.
a lot of learning. See, I think the thing is that we have been students throughout our lives.
Correct.
Right? We are student even now, right? And we learn like a sponge, right? And a lot of times we have met a lot of people, right? And we're not talking, we are listening, right? Sometimes they feel that we are stupid, right? But what is really happening is we are trying to get everything that they have to offer, right? And just trying to add to the knowledge base that we have, right? I think this ability to listen and learn, right? From anybody and everybody, right? Is what has really helped get our compass straight, right? And helped us in the journey and brought us here and will take us much farther.
Okay, go on.
Let me add something to that. So growth for us, Vishal, was never just about growth, right? It was about growth. It was about burn, managing cash, right? Managing burn, and then managing margin, right? It was about balancing all three, and I think that's one of the reasons we were able to sustain the first 7 years without funding. But at some point, we realized that to accelerate this growth, in order to build the foundation, make the foundation even stronger, which will give us that hockey stick, going much further, we would need to raise money. That's why we did what we did in 2020.
Great, man. I'll tell you what, I'm excited now. I have some audience questions curated, okay? These are nice Bollywood kind of questions, but let's see how they go, okay? Right, if there was a movie made about you, what type of movie would it be? Shub, go for it. What genre would it be?
It'll be an action movie. I can say whatever I want.
Yeah, for sure. And the action is in this office, right? So, Salman Khan fan?
Huh?
Are you a Salman Khan fan?
Well, not really.
Not really. Good. Honesty is important. Somebody said brutal honesty is very important. Who said that among you two?
I don't know. Maybe I had said it. Yeah.
You said it. So there you go. He's brutally honest. That's well done. Okay, in your case, what is the movie that should have been made about you? What genre would it be?
Oh, Sholay. That's the movie. Man.
Sholay, man. Yeah.
That's the movie.
So we've got Dharmendra and Amitabh here. So there you go. Right? Okay, great. The next question. If you wrote a novel, fiction, of course, what type of novel would it be?
Romantic comedy.
Fantastic. And you?
It will be about a startup story.
It'll be a startup story?
Oh, yes.
Okay. Do you want people in this room to start up?
Hell yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Tell them why. Guys, believe me, no founder says that, but great. Why should they start up?
It just gives you an experience that I can't define in words, right? And this is not one of those, right? This is what you see as an outcome. But the journey, right, to get here makes this as less important and journey more important. I want you to go through that. We want you to go through that journey. That's why.
Great.
Life is a journey.
Yeah.
Great. What's the thing that most annoys you, Shashank?
Oh, deliberate incompetence.
What is that? Define that.
Oh, this means when somebody is competent but they're lazy.
Wow. Do you meet people like that?
Oh, yeah, I do.
Senior management?
No, well, they don't last that long. if they are that, they don't last that long.
Okay. What is the most annoying thing that you've seen, and what annoys you the most?
People who don't want to learn and continue to learn, because the world around us is changing so quickly. Things that were front and center, mainstream, is not relevant anymore. So unless you continue to invent yourself on a daily basis, you will become redundant very quickly. And with some people, I have that struggle. Because what happens is that leads to insecurity, that leads to a tendency to hide and make other people's life miserable as well. And I don't like that.
Okay. I want you to touch upon this, the changing nature of life. It's changed in the last 10 years, and it's rapid change. One of the things that you do is people have to skill themselves rapidly, and you do that here. What changed it? The mobile changed everything. In India, we see because of Jio, everything changed. Data is everything today, but people struggle to make that shift. Two things, reskilling on a senior management level, and for younger people, what changes should they expect going forward in 2-3 years?
I think you mean how they should be, their behaviors?
Yes, how should they be ready for this change and not be left behind?
Actually, let me say something. So one tendency that I've seen in young people is, Google has actually changed, it has created certain bad habits, right? We feel that when we need to learn something, we can spend 15 minutes in Google and then we become an expert. Right? It doesn't work that way. For young people or for anybody for that matter, it's important that if you want to learn something, then you have to give it the time. Right? I think Malcolm Gladwell wrote about 10,000 hours to be that inflection point. I don't know if it's 10,000 hours or 100,000 hours, but it's definitely more than 15 minutes, right? So that's an important part. That's an important thing to inculcate.
You want to say something?
Yeah, no, I was just talking about the leaders, right, and how they should change, right? Because see, we leaders, when we were younger, in our 20s, right, a job had a different meaning for us, right? There was a sense of security and, a sense of security was attached to the job, right? Okay, job is, it gives us a bread on the table and things like that, right? But the generation that we lead today, they don't think like that, right? They're not insecure of not getting a job, right? They're not insecure of not getting a good salary. Today we are living in an age of abundance. They have all the options, right? The reason why they are there with you, to be led by you, right, is because they see growth opportunities. They see opportunities of becoming better and growing, right? And the moment that stops, right, it becomes impossible to retain them, right? So we have to be a leader where you can create the setting so that they grow, right, in their journey while they're working with you and working for you. If you can't give that, if you can't give them that purpose and growth and meaning, right, then you will not be able to stop them because there is always a better option out there. We didn't grow up that way.
Okay, on a scale of 1 to 10, I'm going to ask them also. On a scale of 1 to 10, how do you rate yourself?
On what?
Coolness factor.
Oh, 7.
7, great.
Yeah.
Again, moderate answer.
Coolness. 9.
Great, that's... Okay, last question. Your guide to happiness in 30 seconds.
The meaning. That's the guide to happiness. Meaning is incorruptible. You can't compare. You can't become insecure. It's the sense of meaning. If your sense of meaning is clear, then you will have a great journey in your life. If that is messed up, you will just end up comparing.
And the meaning is purpose?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So they have to jot it down.
Yeah, absolutely.
Jot it down. Okay. Yeah. Your guide to happiness in 30 seconds.
I think wholesomeness. Family is important. Career success is important. You can't go for one and compromise on the other. You have to find that balance across those dimensions. Yeah.
So wholesomeness, how did you guys, okay, big shout out to families, of all your families that have gone through COVID. You guys have come out stronger. In your cases, the journey of family, I want to cover as my last question before we open it up to them. How did your family support you? Would you have been the entrepreneurs that you are today if they went around?
No. My wife has made incredible sacrifices.
And talk about those sacrifices. I want you to be specific.
Yeah,
please.
absolutely. I have been an absent father, and because I was in India, I would spend like 6 months or 5 months in US, traveling to and fro, right? And that always takes a toll, And she was, first of all, she was working. She was a scientist in DRDO, by the way.
Okay, you met there.
Yeah.
We'll talk about the love story later.
Yeah.
But brilliant. But you traveled a lot. And
yeah, traveled a lot, and if she was not doing a job, right, I wouldn't be taking a risk of just leaving my job and starting up. So we started with that, right, and then she has always been, there and taking care of my family, pushing me and motivating me whenever I was down and out. So that means a lot, actually. And see, the thing is that I am on the front. I am going through a lot of challenges, but I am also going through a lot of fun, right? But she's balancing her office and kids and home and all the things that come with that. That's not fun, that is rut work, right? And the fact that she was able to do all of those things, right, and let me find my purpose and meaning, right? That's the life of death.
Was there ever a meltdown from your side personally, and you had to come out of that?
Yeah, meltdown never happened. No.
Never happened, but great. That means he's having fun. Great. That's the life of an entrepreneur. You've got to have fun.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Great. And also big shout out to your wife and family. Okay, in your case, you said your mother supported you.
Mother supported, but similar things. Shashank said, Ruchi, my wife, Ruchi, I've been married to her for 23 years. She was working during those initial years. Our ability to create cash was, somewhat, there would be times when we would not be able to pay our salaries, right? There have been times of, during the last 9 years when we have not paid ourselves salaries, right? And we were able to get through that because, in my case, Ruchi was earning, right? But I would say, there were times when things get overwhelming, right? Things get confusing.
When you doubt yourself.
When you doubt yourselves, and then I would go and have those intense conversations with my wife, and she has always been very helpful and supportive. And we talked about perseverance earlier. I think she is even better at that than I am. So
the other good thing is you have each other.
Yep.
Yeah.
You've known each other for so long.
Yeah.
So, guys, a round of applause for this wonderful conversation.
Yeah.
We've got time for questions. We're not going to forget you. So, ask all your questions. Be nice to them, for sure.
My name is Helen.
Hi, Ellen.
Yeah. So, first of all, congratulations to all of us for this
Yeah.
eventful day.
That's nice.
So, my question is, so we heard about the journey, like the whole 7 years of journey, and the one thing that kept the whole journey going is that, that vision and that trust that we can do something, right? And that trust was there with that small team, and that vision was there, and everybody was aligned to that vision. Now we are growing like in a very faster pace, and I mean, I see that in last 3 months, like from 500 to 1,000, we just leaped like anything. So how do we ensure that as and when we are growing for a bigger enterprise, I mean, how do we keep that startup culture inside us? I mean, what are the few tips would you be giving us to the organization? We keep that spark going.
I'm going to add to that, Helen. Helen, right?
Yes.
Perhaps the question is also, as you scale, how do you keep the same culture, founder culture-driven, value-driven, and not lose sight of that?
Thank you, Helen, for asking a great question. So, being entrepreneurial, hopefully everyone here knows, is still a big part of our value system, right? Shashank just talked about our hope that a lot of you in this room even would become future entrepreneurs, right? So now what does that mean? It means our ability to think outside the box, right? Solve problems when sometimes you don't have a checklist to follow,
Absolutely.
right? And work together as a team to accomplish, and create solutions for problems that have not been solved in the past, right? The problem that Shashank talked about earlier from that CPG company had not been solved in the past. We did it the first time, right? And I know for sure we are solving those problems across projects, across verticals, across practices, even today in Tredence. So fundamentally, as long as we keep solving new problems, right, I think that spirit of entrepreneurship will always be there. It will be a pervasive part of the Tredence personality, right? And of course, yesterday we were in a voice of delivery discussion. We talked about how do you preserve that, right, in Tredence, and a big part of that is going to be leaders in this room, right? You have to continue to encourage your team members to think, to solve problems together. Some of our managers, at least 1 day a week or 1 hour a day, has to work at the analyst and the senior analyst level and solve problems along with them, right? If we are able to preserve some of these behaviors, I have no doubt that we will be an entrepreneurial company even 10 years from today.
Okay. Open culture. Everyone says open innovation, open culture. How important is that to you?
So I think, to ensure, right, that there's no boundary and there are no closed doors, right? We have to remove all of that to create a free flow of communication, right? Because see, the world is changing so fast, right, that unless we communicate, right, I will not learn, right? There's so much that I can learn, right? If I talk to the people here, there's an immense talent sitting right now in this room, right? It will be untapped, right? If somebody has to talk to their manager and their manager and their manager to get into my calendar, right? Because the day Tredence becomes that company, my younger self would not want to join Tredence, right? That's not the company we want to build, right? So openness is communication, information, learning from each other. Tredence is also a big college, right? And college has openness. That's how you learn. You learn by collaboration and interaction, right? That is fundamental to our growth, actually.
Okay. Next question, please. Your name, sir, please. Thank you.
I'm Venkat.
Venkat,
Yeah, Venkat. First of all, congratulations to you and us for this milestone. My question to you is, what are 3 main things that you think a mentor should, what do you expect a mentor should be having? The 3 main things. You would have seen a lot of, all kinds of mentors from excellent to worse in your career.
That's true.
So what are 3 things that you think a mentor should be having? What do you look?
Beautiful question.
Yeah.
You know, you've been to several stages. So
Oh yeah, very simple, right? So there has to be an element of empathy, right? In order to mentor, you have to connect to the individual, right? That's important, right? There has to be, that's an element of empathy, that's number 1. There has to be an element of respect, right? Because that's create openness, right? You can't be threatening and teaching. It just doesn't work that way, right? And the third is the content or the expertise, right? I mean, you can be all empathy and all respect, but if you don't know, then how will you teach, right? You have to know to teach, right? So those are 3 things that in my mind you would need.
Yeah, can I add something?
You should.
Thanks, Venkat. Right?
Yeah.
Venkat. I also think, and I have made this mistake too, you cannot, as a teacher, as a coach, I think coach is the key word, right? You know, especially millennials and Gen Zs, you cannot give gyan and expect that people will change behaviors, right? You have to coach them by sharing examples from your own lives, and most importantly, you cannot judge, right? Because the moment you start judging that other person, you will not be able to really understand what's happening in his mind or her mind. Yeah.
that's great. So guys, for those of you watching in, go on. For those of you watching at home, thank you. This is Tredence. This is Shub and Shashank. Thank you very much for being on the upstreamlife.com.
Thank you, Vishal.
Thank you, guys.